So thank you to Mr. Harris for asking this question. Is how hard is it to pass your driving test after failing the first time? And any tips I can give to help them cope with that situation. So how hard is it then to pass your driving test second time? Well, I suppose it's how you look at it really, because if you start thinking, all right, okay, then I've used up all my money on that first driving test and I'm getting pressure off everyone that I should be passing, then before you go into that driving test, you've got that much weight on your shoulders that you're going to underperform. So you've got to kind of get rid of all that baggage, right, and start afresh and keep a clear head about things and be positive. That's what you've got to be. So think about what went wrong on the test. Write things down. I say it to everyone. Write down how you felt, what you felt caused that to you to make that mistake. If you know what the mistake was, I mean, you'll get a report or an email, I should say, from the DVSA saying what the faults were and what you can work on. And this is what you've got to arrange with your instructor. Now, before I go back to any other things about the second driving test, the first thing you want to say is speak to your instructor. After you've kind of got over disappointment, speak to your instructor and get them to confirm that they're happy with you to book a test within the next 5 or 6 weeks. And there's going to be people out there screaming at me, I can't get a test for 6 months. Well, you can. You just got to sit down and start planning it and looking for things and start looking at test dates every day. You know, click on that system and try it. I'll give you an example. There's one student I'm teaching failed the other week, and I went on the system and there's nothing at all till February, so got them booked in for February, and they contacted me this morning. There's now December, so they've knocked off nearly 3 months off it straight away, and I won't be surprised if in the next week or so it brings it down to 4 or 5 weeks away from when the original test was. So there is ways to do it. But going back to what I was saying then is contact your instructor and speak to them and get them to give you their availability and get them to confirm that they're happy to you to book a test within that time frame, and then arrange a lesson with your instructor. And you're going to work on, like I said, you're going to work on the driving test report faults that the DVSA send you, the email they send you. So don't delete the email, forward it onto your instructor if you can, because then they got the information and they can start preparing for your next lesson. And work on the serious faults, work on the driving faults, because if you've got, say, 2 or 3 marks in the same category on the driving faults, that could become potentially serious at the same time. So you need to work on these faults and think positive. Think, right, okay, then I'm a bit wiser now. When I go in for a driving test, I'm going to be a lot better prepared to pass that driving test. But at the same time, I'm going to be wary of what I went wrong on the first test. So if you got a series for observations at junctions and the examiner's giving you a debrief at the end, then listen to that debrief, because it could be that examiner saying to you, well, you got a series for junctions, but it was emerging out of a roundabout. You wasn't really looking to your right, and as you looked and as you moved off, it changed. So I had to put the foot on the brake. So that's what you've got to say. It's right, okay, I've got to work on that with my instructor. You know, checking before I enter. Or it could be you're a bit too keen off the blocks. And what I mean by that is, and I'll give you an example here, is you're slowing down for a pedestrian crossing, someone's crossing the crossing and you're waiting, and just as they're about to step off, you move off before they're off the crossing. 1 foot's on the crossing, 1 foot's off the crossing. That's another example, and they don't be surprised if the examiner puts a foot on the brake, or they actually give you a series before they put the foot on the brake, because at that point you've moved before they're off the crossing. So work on the faults and keep a positive mindset, because if you can go in there thinking, right, I know what's happened, I know what I'm going to do, I'm going to expect a hard route, I'm going to be better at my manoeuvres, I'm going to be better at my driving, so I've got a better chance of passing the second time. But if you go in there thinking one lesson between when I failed my first test and I've had a month's break and another lesson, that's going to do it, then the chances are you're going to come unstuck again. So you need to kind of prepare lessons in advance. So speak to the instructor again, start to book a few lessons in building up to the driving test, so that you know you're better prepared and your instructor's happy with you at the same time. And I suppose that the biggest tip I would say to people is on the driving test is don't go complete opposites of what you're driving. So if you got a series for use of speed or breaking the speed limit in a zone, then don't suddenly go like a granny. So if you're struggling to keep an eye on your speeds, know the speed limits, so keep an eye on what's happening ahead of you with the road changes, speed limit changes, and have a glance down, not just glance at your speedometer to see what you're doing. All right, so there could be little bits like you're going downhill, so you're going to pick up speed. So remember things like, you're going to go a brow of a hill, so as you go the brow of a hill, you're going to pick up speed again. So keep an eye on your speed limits. That's just one example. So know the speed, know what you're doing. That's a good tip. When you come to junctions, make sure if it looks like it's clear and you're checking right and left, then fine, you can go. If you're not too sure because there's a parked car blocking your view or a van, then slow down and give it effective observations, because like I say, the top 2 or 3 every year and the driving test fails is junctions. Okay, so I hope this tip helps you. If it does, fantastic. And remember, when you take that driving test, the chances are it's going to be a completely different route, possibly a different examiner. You might even get the same examiner if you're lucky. But good luck on the driving test. Take care.